capturing life's essential ingredients, one story at a time. We speak, or more so, listen to all types of people, hoping to inform, inspire, and transform lives, hoping to build community, one community at a time. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and the mic. All right, here we go. We got a special treat for you today. My nephew, who I've known obviously his whole life, and been so fun to see him transform into the young man that he is today. And so we just want to welcome you to Life's Essential Ingredients. And obviously my Pasho is back, and that is the Mike, Mike, the one and only Mike, Pashito. So it's going to be a great show, and we're so excited. Mike, you want to say hello to Andrew? And you can even go back to when you used to call him by his nickname. If you remember that, I'm just putting Mike on the spot. We did no prep. We're just going, but Mike has a good memory. He's like an elephant. The elephant's got a big brain, and they don't forget things. And so I'll let you say hello to Andrew, and then we'll let Andrew introduce himself a little bit and say hello.
Drew, good seeing you once again. And if we can go back, I believe it was late 80s. I believe the Cincinnati Bengals were in the Super Bowl against the Niners. We were at my Pasho's parents' house watching the game, and that's where I met Drew and his sister, who they called Ho Ho and Hee Hee.
Yeah.
The Christians are famous for nicknames. Don't ask me where it came from, whatever. But Drew, you must have been, man, I don't know, a couple years old at best, running around and
Absolutely.
just full of energy, man. That's my first recollection of you. And now look, you're all grown up.
And here we are. My uncle said young man. I'm 38 years old, so he said young makes me feel good because I'm 38, just a baby.
Are you trying to make us feel old already, man? We're a lot older than you. So if you're saying you're old, then we're ancient.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got to be careful what I say. My uncle's going to mute me the whole yeah.
Not even close. I don't even barely know how to work the equipment, and forget editing stuff. This pretty much just goes out live as it is.
Nice.
Hey, Andrew. First, thanks so much for taking time out of your day. I know you got a lot going on, but tell people what's going on with you and your life and your company and companies. I know you got a lot of stuff cracking, and tell us about that first.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Dru Sanchez. I'm born and raised right here in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area. I'm a business owner here. I own a commercial and residential moving company. We own a cleaning company, a nonprofit organization. So I have the entrepreneurial mindset, but even more importantly than that, definitely a humanitarian. I love giving back to my community. My whole family comes from advocates. So my mother is a nurse. My uncle is a nurse. Uncles are police officers, teachers. And I'm truly thankful for the family that I was brought up in. And it is my duty to give back to my community. So I'm very thankful to be here sharing space with you guys today.
Yeah, no, and that's appreciate those shots out to the family. And it'll be fun to get some of them on. You're the first family member getting on here. But I'm just going to jump right into you giving back to the community, because that's definitely been something nice for me, and I know my brothers and sisters, to seeing you, knowing that you don't really have to do that, but it's become part of who you are. And Mike and I obviously went to school in the city, San Francisco, and we know that's a special place for you. And then I know recently, probably in the last year or so, you started going out there volunteering. Tell the listeners about that and kind of why you do that, what you get out of that, and why would people want to go take that step in their life?
Sure. So anything that I can do with the community, I will. I've worked at soup kitchens. I mentor foster youth. I go into the prisons and mentor men in there as well. And there's a law that I live by. And this law says, if I'm having the best day of my life, I'm going to go and do something kind for someone because it's going to humble me. When I'm having the worst day of my life, I'm going to go do something kind for someone because it's going to give me perspective of someone else who is suffering. My mom has taught me this since I was very young. And I want to give gratitude to you as well, Uncle Jeff, because growing up, my uncle owned nonprofit organizations and he'd have me come out 17, 18, 19 years old when I was in and out of trouble, and I was watching him give back to the community. And even myself, when I was in my early 20s, I was in and out of trouble, and he invited me to live with him. When a lot of people turned their backs on me, he opened his door physically with him, his family, his 2 daughters, and they welcomed me. And for that, I don't feel in debt, but it's a must that I pay it forward. So even when I feel like I don't have anything to give, that's exactly when I give. That's why I work with these foster youth who don't have mentors and don't have someone to look up to, because at that time, I didn't have anyone and you stepped up. And I'm so thankful for that. And I'm so glad for our relationship that we have now that just continues to blossom as I become a man.
Yeah, no, definitely. Always got love for you. And just like I said, it's just so nice to see you, who you are now at the present. And that's what's so cool. And we'll get into this as the show moves on. But you're just transforming in front of me. And yeah, just so nice to see and knowing all the good you're doing. But before we get into that stuff, I want to ask you to go back. And I don't live my life in reverse, and nor do you or Mike. And I'm not asking you to do that. But this show is called Life's Essential Ingredients. And obviously, it's a positive show of trying to find those ingredients that give us just that recipe for life of feeling like we're living and doing God's work, doing good work, and just helping people. But let's go back to when you came knocking to my door, and I know there were some challenges. If you could go back at that time and look at the ingredients that were in your life, and I'll clarify ingredients because I think I could do a better job. And this is just kind of the values or lack thereof, or the things that you thought were important that now as a 38-year-old young man, you see things different. But if you can go back to that time when you were, 17, 18, 20, what was going on, and what are things that you wish you would have told yourself then that you know now that can really help the listeners that are, wearing those shoes that you were wearing?
Sure. So I'm going to push it a little bit further, if you don't mind, into the timeline up to my maybe mid 20s and late 20s, because this is going to parallel just a little bit better with what we're going to be speaking about today. So it's funny because you call it essential ingredients. And just 4 years ago, I was a big boy. I was pushing 300 pounds, 293 pounds. I was eating very unhealthy. I was drinking 4 to 5 days a week in excess. I wasn't exercising consistently. And I'd like to tell a story that's very near and dear to my heart, because this is when my life changed. I was eating unhealthy. I was almost 300 pounds. Every single night I would go to bed, I'd be sweating. I'd be short of breath. I'd be heavy in my chest. And I would say a prayer every single night. And I would say, "Dear God, please don't take me. My mother needs me here. My mother needs me here on this earth." Every single night I would pray that, but I wasn't making any changes in my life. Now, fast forward maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, one day I'm sitting on my couch in my condo, and I was sitting on the couch. I was having chest pain and heaviness in my chest. I was feeling short of breath. I was sweating, and immediately I started praying to God, and I said, "Dear God, please don't take me. My mom needs me here." I was full of anxiety and I was afraid in that moment, and God spoke back. I thought that I heard it audible, but I know now that I heard it in my heart. And when I told God, "Please don't take me, my mom needs me," he responded to me very clearly by saying, "Hey, you're asking me for a whole lot and you're not doing your part. You need to get up and do something." I immediately was flooded with tears. I jumped off of my couch. I went straight to the refrigerator. I threw out all the dairy, all the meat, all the alcohol. And in that moment, my life changed immediately. I could look back at myself 1 minute prior to that, and I knew I wasn't that man anymore. I committed to myself in that moment that I was going to eat healthy, that I wasn't going to drink in excess, that I was going to exercise 2 to 3 times a day. And that's exactly what I did. I lost 27 pounds my first month. I lost a total of 103 pounds, and my life completely changed. Physical, this is minimal. This means nothing to me. Just like you said with this podcast, I don't care if people see it. That's the same way that I feel about this. I don't care. I'm not doing any of this for a beach body or anything like that. I want to live a long, happy, healthy life on this earth so that I can serve God and so that I can continue to give back to my community. This was huge for me, but it wasn't only physical. The transformation happened on a spiritual level as well. My connection with God has just continued to thrive. In my business grew by $1 million just in 3 years. And this is just from being sober and having the confidence in myself to go out and network and build my business. So it was way more than just physical. It had an impact on everything, including my relationships with my family, with my friends. So I just wanted to give that quick story as a foundation as I go into a few of the ingredients. So one very important ingredient of mine, I'm going to just call it take action. So I used to be a Monday guy. I used to be the guy that would say, I'm going to stop drinking on Monday. I'm going to stop eating fast food on Monday. Not these days, not anymore. I take action immediately for anything that I want in my life. And I'll give you a prime example. I'm sitting here talking to my uncle right now. He sent me a text message this morning at 10 o'clock and said, hey, I'd like for you to come on my podcast one day. Guess what I said? I'll see you later today. He said, okay, I'm going to send you an email then. Look at the calendar and see when you can fit it in. The very first slot that he had was 2:30, and that's when I scheduled it. I didn't have anything planned. I didn't have any notes, but I knew that I had an opportunity, and we make time for things that are important to us. And this was important. So I cleared my schedule so I can be here today. Ingredient number one, take action. The second ingredient, I'm going to call it poison versus productivity. So this was something that was big for me. So I'll use the example of alcohol. Alcohol at that time I would consider a poison. And I removed that poison out of my life. But when you remove something, there's going to be a void there. There's going to be a vortex. And it's very important that you plug in productivity when you remove some kind of poison. And that's exactly what I did. When I removed alcohol, I immediately plugged in exercise. So I was exercising 2 to 3 times a day, 7 days a week. I started meditating every single day. I started spending quality time with God every single morning. I started giving back to my community even more. So whatever poison you're suffering from, whether it's anxiety, whether it's smoking, whether it's drinking, when you remove that out of your environment, you have to plug something in. It can be running, it can be cycling, it can be reading, it can be yoga, anything that you choose. So remove a poison, plug in productivity. A third ingredient, and this is very important to me as well, I'm calling it priming, morning structure. So morning structure to me is the key to success. This is where you start the momentum for your day. If you just wake up and you hit the alarm and you run out the door, that's basically like playing Russian roulette with your day. Let's just see how today goes. I'm not going to throw the dice and gamble on that. So I'm going to set the tone for my day. And I do that by priming. So I wake up first thing in the morning and I read a daily devotional. I immediately get into God's word right away. Then I'll take a cold shower. After that, I will go exercise. After I exercise for an hour, then I meditate. And then after I meditate, I'll take my first business call. My business partner knows, hey man, don't even reach out to me because I'm not going to be available before 8 o'clock in the morning because I'm taking care of myself. The more that I take care of myself, the more I'll have to give to my employees, to my community, whoever it is. So make sure that you're being selfish so that through your day, you can be selfless. If you think about the analogy on the airplane, it always says the oxygen mask drops down, put it on yourself first, After you put it on yourself, then put it on your child. This is how we have to live our life. We have to take care of ourselves first, but it has to be strategic. If I woke up at 9 o'clock every day in the morning, I'd be missing a bunch of business. I have to wake up between 4:30 and 5 o'clock so that I can take that early morning to take care of myself. Then I can start business around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So priming is super important. One last ingredient that I'll give you, I call this one the discomfort zone. So I heard this guy say one time, I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. That is 100% me these days. Before, I stayed in my lane. I stayed in my comfort zone. But nowadays, I challenge myself. Anytime that I'm feeling scared, uncomfortable, unfamiliar, I force myself to go. I kind of have a motto in my head that says, when my brain says no, that means that I have to go, especially if it's something that I know is going to further either my education or make me a better man, because I know on the other side of that pain, it's paradise. I know that in every aspect of life. If you just push through that pain, there's something beautiful waiting for you on the other side. So the 4 ingredients that I have for right now, number 1, take action, and it has to be massive action. Take action right now. Don't wait until Monday. Number 2, poison versus productivity. When you remove a poison like alcohol in your life, immediately you have to plug in some kind of productivity, something healthy to keep you distracted and on track. Number 3, priming. You want to prime yourself to have a good day. So do these morning rituals that make you feel great so that you go into the day with great momentum. And the last one, the discomfort zone. If there's certain things that make you feel uncomfortable, I challenge you to push yourself to do those things. It can be something as silly as heights. I started with doing stuff like that. I was scared of heights. I made myself go jump out of an airplane. I jumped off the tallest building in Las Vegas. I went zip lining at the top of the redwoods in Santa Cruz. I was constantly doing things that made me feel uncomfortable. But when you're done with that, you feel unstoppable. Now I do things in solitude all the time. I've traveled to Thailand by myself and I booked it the night before. I'm not a planner. I'm not married. I don't have any children. So I'll just jump on a plane and take off. So I am very comfortable being uncomfortable. And there's been so much growth just in that statement. So the things that make you uncomfortable, push yourself to do those things.
Man, it almost leaves me speechless. That's a whole bunch. And I know my Pasha was over there taking all kind of notes. I got one challenging question for you, because one key thing, you said so many amazing things, but one key thing, what tip would you give to, and probably one of your employees, and we'll get into them because I would love to know how you share your routine with them. But that'll be my question that I'll lead into this. What tip would you give to, say, one of your employees who's maybe a single dad, raising 3-4 kids on his own, working for you and potentially working another job, and has all these different demands on him that kind of get in the way from being able to focus on what is truly most important. And obviously you've got your routine and your structure of where you buy yourself margin, and you earn that margin because you get up early and do all these other things to take care of yourself and work ultra efficiently. But what about people that just aren't in that space? And knowing you, it's, again, so nice to see the transformation. Yeah, I'll just say, let's get into that question, because that's the stuff you're seeing too all the time when you're out in the community. And how do you suggest people take maybe one step, or what's truly most important for someone that's in that situation I was describing?
Sure. So I'm very excited about this question because I get to mention my business partner, Leo, as well. My business partner and I pride ourselves on giving people second chances in life. And I have a quote that I live by. I might have started this quote, I don't know. But the quote is, you'd be surprised who will rise to the opportunity if you just give them, excuse me. You'd be surprised who will rise to the occasion if you just give them an opportunity. So my business partner was in foster care for 16 years. He was in and out of jail, family members in gangs, total adversity. And we pride ourselves on giving people the opportunity or the second chance in life. So something that I say to my guys, and I love to see the look on their face, I say, hey, I can see you leading a crew one day. I can see you being a lead man for us. And they say, really? You think so? I said, I know so. You have great communication. You come here and you work hard every day. You're consistent. You have exactly what it takes. I'll give you a story. Yes, I'm so glad that I remembered this. When I was living with you, I got arrested for fighting in public. And when I went to jail, I went to the Yolo County Jail. And when I first went in there, they had me on a 23-hour lockdown. So I was 23 hours in my cell, and it would be 1 hour a day that they would let me out. Now, the interesting thing was 2 or 3 days into me being there, I remember sitting in my cell and I told myself, I know I'm going to be back here. This is what I do. And I remember thinking, yeah, you're right. This is what I do. I've already been here 3 times. This is the lifestyle that I live. I'm definitely going to be back here. So my brain told me, get comfortable. You're going to be back here. This is what you do. And I agreed. I said, you're right. This is what I do. So I got comfortable. 1 day later, I was out for my 1 hour out of my cell. I had my shirt off. I was walking around like I was all tough. And there was a security guard at the bottom of the stairwell. And he said, Sanchez, come here for a second. And I went down there and I said, what's up, man? He said, what are you still doing here? I said, you better get used to me. I'm going to be here for a while. And he said, no, you're not like these guys. I hope that I never see you here again. Now, the interesting thing about that is that gentleman saw something in me that I couldn't even see in myself. So that is what I try to do for all of my employees. These guys who have been in and out of jail, these people who had nobody to look up to. I like to be the one to tell them, hey, man, you might not have heard this, but you're very intelligent. You have great customer service. You show up every day. You're consistent. I believe in you. You're going to be a great asset to this company. You really think so? I know so. I love empowering people and giving them the opportunity to improve their quality of life. But all I can do is inspire. You're the one who has to take action. This is just like how God works. God gave us free will. So he's always there to support us. He's always there to take us to the next level. But he says, you're the one who has to make the choice. You're the one who has to choose me. This is really interesting about Buddhism as well. In Buddhism, they talk about the lotus flower. And the lotus flower blossoms out of the mud. And then it goes to midwater, and then it has a breakthrough through the surface. Now, even Buddha himself said, somebody who's in the mud, I can't help that person. I can't help the person who's in the mud. They need to get themselves out. I'll meet them at midwater, and then I'll help them to the breakthrough. That's super interesting because even when I think about my life change, there were plenty of people who helped me, including God, including you, Uncle, including my mom, but I had to make the choice. People were trying to help me for years. It was like 15, 20 years I was getting in trouble. But the day that I decided, that's when my eyes opened. And then I saw all these resources, all these people who wanted to help me, including God, who has that agape love, that unconditional love, who's there for you all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I love giving those opportunities to people. But like I said, I can try to inspire you, but those men, my employees, have to make the choice that they want to be consistent, that they want to have that better quality of life.
Yeah, I love it. And just love all that you are doing through your company and knowing that you give each and every person a second chance to go on and try and provide for their family and lead one of your crews on some tough moves. And I tried to help me out one time, and I threw you guys for a crazy situation and caused some adversity. but just knowing those are all opportunities to work on some of these skill sets and even getting comfortable being uncomfortable, what you're talking about. And a lot of athletes, Kevin Durant, I think, was one of the first guys that I heard share that. And I don't know if he got it from Alan Stein or whoever, but yeah, I mean, I love that, because when we can get into that space, we can realize, hey, if I can just breathe through that and fall back on whatever my fallback is, and I know for you, that's God and meditation, then you can realize, hey, that's where I can truly grow and empower myself to therefore empower others. So yeah, I love everything that you said. Looks like my Pasho has got something that he wants to jump in and share.
Yeah, I just got to say, Dru, man, inspirational to hear you speak. I think you need a podcast also. Man, you got me motivated. But my question is, if you can go back to the young you, and you mentioned the 4 ingredients: the take action, the poison versus productivity, the priming, and get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you could go back to the young you, or even the kids you mentor, the men you mentor, which I think is unbelievably awesome, if they can just start with one thing, or if you could start with one of those things to help change your life, which one would you have started with?
I'll give you a whole other one just to add to people who are taking notes. This too shall pass. I wish that I knew that.
You're doing great, and we definitely appreciate you. Love how you just speak from the heart, and definitely knowing that you've had a lot of pain in your life, and that's why it's just so fun for me to just sit back and listen. And I'm taking all kind of notes, and just knowing this here and now, and even great seeing you get emotional, because that's where so much change and growth happens for us. And unfortunately, we turn away from that so often when the good stuff is right there, and then we don't acknowledge it. So yeah, go ahead and are you ready to talk?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So this too shall pass. If I could tell anyone who's in the middle of the storm, there's never been a storm ever in the history of this earth that has not passed. And something really cool that I know is, when you're having the best day of your life, that's temporary. You're going to come back to a default position. When you're having the worst day of your life, that's temporary. You're going to come back to a default position. If I was talking to my younger self, I would say, do not worry, this too shall pass. But before you let this pass, it's most important, please listen, anyone who hears this, it's most important when you're going through some kind of storm, some kind of adversity, you have to extract the wisdom. God put that storm in your path for a reason. You have to extract the reason why it came in your path. If you go through a storm and some kind of adversity and you don't extract the wisdom, take another one. God's going to hit you with another one. Oh, you don't want to learn again? You didn't get the lesson? Take another one. You're going to continue to get this back to back to back. That's why we hear people say, including myself, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep meeting the same people? Why do I keep getting arrested? It's because God's giving me an opportunity to level up, but I'm not extracting the lesson. So these days, this gets me excited. These days, anything that I go through, any kind of adversity that crosses my path, I never look at it in a bad light. It's simply, what am I supposed to extract from this? What lesson am I supposed to extract from this so I can move forward? Because I don't want it to happen again. If you don't want something to happen again, I highly suggest that you meditate on whatever's going on in your life. Consult with God and see, why is this happening? What is it that's supposed to make me a better man or a better woman, whoever is listening? Extract the lesson, then move forward. If we just sweep it under the rug, you better believe that there's 1,000 more soldiers in line coming to attack you. But if you face it head on, you extract the lesson, they all fall, and then you can move forward.
I love it. I love it. We want to be respectful of your time, but I'm so honored that you came on the show, first of all. So honored to call you my nephew. So honored to call you my brother. So honored to call you my friend. And so honored that D&L Movers and all the other companies, I know you got a bunch of them that you didn't even share, has you as their leader, has you sharing your life's essential ingredients, has you down in the San Francisco Bay Area community, because I know you're all over that place, and always helping people, even if it's just with a smile. And most of the time it's with some lunch or dinner or something else. I know you're giving back. And so just thank you so much for all that you did. The listeners I know are going to appreciate it. And where can people find you if they wanted to reach out? Or yeah, just one last little plug for people following you in social media and everything else.
Yeah. The only place right now to find me is probably Instagram or Facebook. So my Instagram is Dru Miliano, DRU_Miliano, MILLIANO. But with that being said, I'm actually doing a social media detox right now. And this fasting has got me closer to God in so many opportunities that have dropped in my path. I've only been on this social media detox for 2.5 days right now. I don't know if I'll ever go back. It's so beautiful. In the Bible, they talk about fasting, and so many of us think about fasting with just food, but God wants us to fast from whatever it is that we're tempted and addicted to. So with social media, so many of us are going to that for this temporary gratification, ultimately leaving us empty and insecure. And this is one of my first times doing a detox, and I feel so close to God. I'm so very thankful that I'm doing this. So that's where you can find me. I can't guarantee that I'll get that message because I might not ever be there again, because this life is good.
Well, you already know that I love that. And that's what's been one of my biggest challenges with this, because I've never done anything like this. We already said this is going to sound bad, but it's the truth. We want to help people, but I could care less of how many people, because if this show can help one person and they can get on and listen and associate with what you're saying and learn from that and reach out to you to create change in their life, or reach out to C4 leaders to create change. Man, our time is well spent. And definitely we all three value our time, because you cannot get time back. And so why do you want to spend time being distracted on things that aren't going to allow you to do great work? And so with that, thank you so much. My Pashito, why don't you get us out of here with some closing comments? And I know you have like a fancy kiss that's his like sign off for the show. I got nothing. I still got to develop it. At least I showered today. I have some other clothes on. I'm not wearing a beanie. My kids are still shook up with how I come across on this thing, because the camera angle is wrong. That's just so well. Pasho, take us home, baby.
Well, obviously, I got all dolled up today and everything as usual. But let me just say, Dru, that was phenomenal. Thank you for sharing. I've only heard bits and pieces of your story throughout the years from my Pasho, but man, I am so proud of you. Absolutely amazing, encouraging that people can do this, and keep up the great work. You're doing God's word. Keep it up. And thank you, man. And hopefully we'll have you on again. This was awesome. As soon as my Pasho gets this on the line, I'm going to get my kids to listen to it. I think it was truly inspirational. And I got interviewed by my Pasho the first time for this show, and I didn't realize it was going online. And man, I was nowhere near as inspirational as you were, not even the ballpark. So thank you. We love everyone. Have a good one. We'll see you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Again, this is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and Mike, our guest today, Dru Sanchez from D&L Movers. Just dropping some C4 on them, because that's what we got to do, because I heard so much C4 in there, but just dropping knowledge and love. With that, thank you, and we'll see everybody next time.